So this research proposal aims to study the mechanics and prevalence of antibiotic-resistant bacteria within the United States. So antibiotic-resistant bacteria poses a huge threat to medicinal chemistry and pharmacology. And with the rise of this bacteria, it's led to an increasingly difficult treatment process for what we know as common bacterial diseases. So we have bacterial diseases such as Salmonella or E. coli or even just regular staph that are super easy to treat typically with antibiotics. But as just regular diseases and bacteria evolve, they form a resistance to these antibiotics that have been developed, and this causes a much harder treatment process for common diseases that we know. So this research proposal aims to understand the mechanics and the prevalence of the antibiotic-resistant bacteria in the U.S., but it also aims to understand the causes of it and what possible methods to eradicate it are viable in research right now. So for our research objectives, they include identifying the mechanisms of antibiotic-resistant bacteria in different types of bacterial strains. So what this means is finding exactly what kind of mechanisms go into the development of the resistance in this bacteria. So that includes DNA and what actually goes on within the bacterial cell. Another objective for this research includes finding the prevalence of antibiotic-resistant bacteria in hospitals and clinical settings in the U.S. This also leads to delving into the genetic factors that regard the formation of the antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And from all this research, once the findings are gathered and the data is analyzed, part of the research includes developing strategies for destroying this antibiotic-resistant bacteria, as well as preventing the emergence of new ones. Like I said, this research is crucial because it's a global health crisis and it has huge consequences if nothing's done about it. And by observing the molecular mechanisms involved in bacterial resistance, the study paves the way for innovative strategies to fight resistance. And it also plays a crucial role in improving the public health initiatives all over the world, but specifically for this study in the United States. These studies also offer insights that can guide the development of new antibiotics, which we urgently need to fight the evolving concept of resistance. So all these antibiotics that are being resisted against by bacteria, it's about finding what's going on and trying to stop that, as well as finding new antibiotics in case we find that resistance is too strong and fighting that is no longer a viable option. So this implication of research extends way beyond labs and into clinical practices. It influences healthcare protocols as well as hospital decision-making, and the hopes of this research is to reduce the prevalence of the resistant infections across the U.S. This knowledge will be an important step in the ongoing fight against drug-resistant bacteria, and it will highlight the importance of scientific innovation in human health and medicine. So previous research for this field includes a joint study carried out by Imperial College London and the University of Texas at Austin, where researchers came together to find an antibiotic-resistant solution, which they think is a public threat to public health. So what they did is by inhibiting a protein responsible for the development of resistant bacteria, they found a way to make antibiotic-resistant bacteria such as E. coli, pneumonia, and others susceptible to treatment. There was Dr. Desponia Marvido who led the research team, and she described it as a completely new way of thinking about targeting resistance. So what they're doing in this research is finding the mechanisms of the bacteria and trying to find what exact mechanisms go on within the cell so they can target it and inhibit that process and prevent it from turning into an actual resistant. So they find the problem and they kind of just block it. The research methodology includes microbiology, sequencing, as well as analysis. So it includes genetic testing to find the specific mechanisms of the antibiotic resistance, as well as the genome sequencing, which includes looking at the specific genes of the bacteria to find which ones are specifically responsible for this resistance. This research seeks to not only contribute to the scientific understanding of antibiotic research, but also to provide valuable insights and to inform clinical practices. Ultimately, this research methodology strives to bridge the gap between laboratory investigation and clinical applications, and it promotes a more impactful approach to fighting antibiotic resistance in not only clinical settings, but hospitals, lab settings, and just general healthcare in the United States and in the world. Antibiotic resistance is, like I said, a huge global concern right now. But this research proposal outlines a specific approach to investigating the mechanisms and prevalence of antibiotic resistant bacteria, with the final goal of developing strategies to control this growing threat.